What's up, guys? Here I am again on another car project. This is my friend's 1988 Nissan Maxima, and it's seen some better days, but it still works. It's amazing, these engines that they have. But it actually has an alternator problem, and I want to show you what we did to replace it. All right, guys, here we are on the passenger side wheel well, and this is how we accessed where the alternator was at. And we just took off the cover that goes here. 1, 2, and 3 little clips to hold that in, and it's over there. There's actually 2 covers over there with the wheel. And then we're under here, and we just also took off this front cover on the passenger side right underneath here. Okay, so the alternator, this is the new one that we got. It sits basically right here, and it's an amazing access if you can get it right here. And I'll show you how to put this back in. It's easier to get out than get back in, but I'm going to just show you how it all goes together. Okay, here we are. This is the harness to the alternator, and I want to show you where each one of these wires goes so that you can wire it up correctly. All right, so make sure first of all that you unplug or that you disconnect the battery. That's always a big deal. But here, let me show you, at least on the 1988, where all this stuff went. And I'm just gonna put it together here for you, okay? So we'll do a little time lapse so it goes a little bit quicker. Okay, it's all hooked up now and ready to be installed. If you look down here, there's these 3 bolts. The top 2 on the alternator are the long ones. The bottom one is what connects it to the belt tensioner here, the smaller one. So just be aware of that. I'm gonna actually, I think the easiest way to do this I found is actually to do the front top one first so you can get it hanging, and then you can work your way back here on this other one without having to try and hold it at the same time. It seems to be easier that way. So I'll go do that now. Actually, if you just put this one in, it will be a lot easier for you because you won't have to try and wiggle it in once it's up there. Just put this bolt in on the back side first so that it's flush, so you don't have to try and wiggle it in later. And then you can put this front bolt in, and you will already have that bolt back there in when it's time to work on it. So let's put this front bolt in right now. Okay, I have the front top bolt in, and on the back side, the other bolt's already in there, but it's not in the hole. But while I'm here, I'm just gonna put this belt on, and it just slips over pretty easily, and it'll kind of hold it up while I work on the back side a little bit. Okay, so here it is on the back side. See how I have that bolt already in there? It's just not in the hole. It makes it a lot easier because I don't know what this line is, some sort of oil line. It's rigid, and it's very difficult to get that in unless you already have it in there. So now it's just a matter of me wiggling this alternator into the right position and getting that bolt in. So that's what I'm going to do now. See this bolt right here? I finally threaded it, or got it started. That was the hardest part of this whole project, really, is getting this bolt in on the back side. I like to use this type of ratchet, you know, it's a 12 millimeter. And if you just, once you get it slightly started, just make sure you're going the right direction, and you can slip it on, usually, and just work it till it's in. I'll see you on the other side. I forgot to mention that don't tighten these top bolts completely so that you have some play in order to move this around. And then once you're done doing the belt tensioner, you can actually tighten those nuts down. But first of all, I like to do this and just put it in here, and I'll come over on this side and I'll loosen it up so that I have lots of room to do this. Otherwise, it's really difficult to pull the belt and the alternator towards it. I'd just rather ratchet this down, so I'll do that. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is how to tension this, and I'm not sure what the specification is. I try to make sure that the belt doesn't twist over 90. I've read that somewhere, saw it somewhere, so that's kind of my gauge on this one. I try to have a little bit of give, but not be able to slip off, so that's how I do it. But anyways, so you just crank this until you make sure that all these bolts that are connecting it are loose so that you can tension it properly. And then you just crank it down until it's at the right tension that you want. This is how tight I tensioned it, about like that. That may or may not be the right tension. It probably isn't the right one, but it's going to do the job. What you don't want is it completely going all the way over. So that's where it's at for us. Now I'm going to tighten all these 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3 here. Tighten those up, and this thing will be installed. All right, the battery is reading 12.7. Typically it should be 12.6, but I already started it, so there's just a little bit of extra charge on the battery. I'm going to start it, and we should see something above 13. Usually I think the best is 14.2 volts, but we'll see what this reads out with the alternator installed. As you can see, 14.6 volts. I was wrong. It should be reading around 14.6. And it is. So this battery is being charged as my buddy Kyle is driving down the road. So everything is awesome. We're happy that this thing worked. One thing I wanted to share with you guys before I close out is we actually bought a remanufactured one from one of the local auto parts store, and we installed it, and it actually was bad. So if I were you, I would bench test even your new alternators before you install them, just to make sure that they're working before you put them in. On this new one that we put in, we had them bench test it before I actually put it in, and so now we know for sure that it was working and we could install it with no problem. So thanks for watching, you guys. Glad you came by. Hit subscribe. We'll see you next time.